Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Black History Show number 2, 2019. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. For a lot of reasons you will find out, this is a very special show to moi. That's me, for those of you who don't. That's only really French I know. It's moi.
That's French?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. Oh, you thought it was just brothers on the street said it? You thought it was really part of us? No,
You
it's really.
are so uncultured.
So did I say that?
So, Bree, where's Brianna? I need to ask her something. Where's Brianna? Oh, Bree, I need to ask her. Now, before we get into the show, I want you to have you, I want you to do something for me, okay? Has anybody seen American Soul on BET?
I need to watch it. Is it good?
It's the story of Soul Train.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You know, right now, I'm not feeling it.
Aww.
But not that, but maybe I just need to get used to it. You know, it's.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. It's flat to me. It's just flat.
You don't got the soul?
I don't know. I don't feel it. So I just want to say that. But I need somebody else to watch it and give me their opinion. Okay,
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, you watch, please, Demetria. Mr. Demetria. Now, I want you to do something for me. Okay. So they also have a new Boomerang coming on.
Oh,
Have you seen it?
yeah.
Boomerang, and it's very. Am I the one here to watch this?
I think
BET?
I watch too much
thought-
TV.
I don't watch TV.
You don't watch TV. I know you don't. I tell you what to watch. Okay, you watch BT? You haven't seen? Y'all old as hell. I'm older than
Boomerang,
y'all, and I'm watching. Okay.
The Eddie Murphy movie, Boomerang?
Yes.
So they made a remake, but it's a series. It's a scripted series.
Are you asking me to act in it? Because I will.
on BET. Okay, so I'm gonna ask Bree, and it looks different. It's like an updated, dark version. The way it, Boomerang was funny. You know, silly and funny, and So I'm gonna ask you, will you watch it for me? And tell me what you think.
Sure.
Okay, you watch it. And if I tell you, if you watch Boomerang, I will.
Send me to Africa.
No. That's a hell of a trade. No, I will. Now, I'll do this. I will watch Insecure.
You have to watch Insecure regardless.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
If you watch Boomerang, because we're going to trade. No, I'll watch.
That's not a
Come
trade.
on, Bree.
That's not a trade.
No. Will you stay out of this?
Okay, I'll stay out of it.
Look, how you get in? I ain't talking to you. Look,
That's not it.
So
No.
you
gotta send me to
my street
Africa.
soldier daughter. You know that. When you watch, you watch Boomerang, and I'll watch Insecure, and okay, we'll.
If you don't watch Insecure, Doc,
I'll go
this
back to
wouldn't make any
season
sense.
1, the first one, just like you said.
You promise. Are you gonna pinky promise?
Pinky. All right, whatever. All right, I will do that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Someone
So
date
next week-
this.
So
Someone
Boomerang-
date this. What time is it?
Because it comes on.
I
Tuesday
am
night,
the witness.
and on
8:37.
Tuesday- and
Thank
on-
you.
And on Tuesday night we're at the, we got the kids at the club, so we can't do it.
It's called
All right,
On
we'll do that?
Demand.
Okay, so at 8:37, Doc said that you'll watch Insecure and I'll watch Boomerang.
Boomerang. Okay.
Is there a timeline for this? Because he could probably be like,
Look, if you say one more thing, turn the mic off. Okay, no. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Okay,
Dear.
you
All
better
right.
watch Insecure, Doc.
And we move to the show tonight. In the house, we have the staff and students of the University of San Francisco BASE program. And BASE stands for Black Achievement, Success, and Engagement. It is new. It's in its first year. I am, for reasons you'll find out, very, very, very excited about this program. And let's just do it. And they have also recently taken a trip that we're going to talk about. But let's introduce the staff of the BASE program. Dr. Candace Harrison. And are you a doctor too?
I'm working on it right
You're
now.
working on it. Okay. And Dr. 2B, Michael Bell, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tadessa Bill.
Okay. Yeah. But say the middle name.
Tadessa is the first name.
I saw that and I wasn't sure. Well, you get to say your own name. Go ahead.
Michael Tadessa Bill.
Ah, yes. All right, that's all in there.
Tadessa, what
What's that mean?
that's a nice name.
They're going to ask you what that mean.
It originates in Ethiopia. So
Ooh.
my wife and I got married almost 7 years ago and combined our last name. Her last name was Tadessa Mine Bell, and we combined it.
Powerful.
Yeah, she's Ethiopian. First generation American.
You're a real man. You know, you did the combined thing. I like that, brother. Yeah. All right, we're going to start with Doc. Come on, Doc. Come on.
Yes.
How are you? Get to the mic. Oh, you got to get
here.
Yeah.
I'm almost here.
You're almost there.
I'm really here now.
Oh, wow.
Hi.
Yeah, long time coming, huh?
I know.
Yes.
We're
Wow.
glad to be here.
Right. Tell everybody what base is, of course. Got to start from the beginning. I know you know this. You probably got an elevator speech, but go ahead. You can give the short version, the long version, whatever you want to. Go right ahead.
You know I'm a historian, so it's hard for me to give a short version of anything, don't you? So BASE, we're so proud of this
first of all,
program.
identify yourself. You're a professor at University of
Yes,
San
I am.
Yes.
I am an associate professor of history. I mostly teach Black history, labor history at the University of San Francisco.
And how long have you been there?
I've been there for 11 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
In 11 years, I have hoped that we would create something like this new Black Achievement Success and Engagement Program.
Yes.
So it's a huge program. What we really are trying to do is increase, right, the success, the engagement, obviously, but really empower Black students, both graduate and undergraduate at USF. We know historically Black students have not had as much access or success in higher education. And we are trying to do our part to make sure we change the narrative. We want to see all of our Black students successful. So to that end, we've created a new Black Resource Center. We've created a new Black Living Learning community. The students who are here today are part of that Living Learning community. And then last but not least, we've created a new Black Scholars Program, which provides 4-year full tuition scholarships, but also research assistantships, internships, a capstone project, lots of mentoring for 10 incoming first-year Black students a year from across the country.
And how long was this? I'm asking stuff I already know, but nobody else does. How long was it in the making to get the BASE program?
Yes, Dr. Marshall, you know well because you've been a key part of the creation of this. It took us about 2.5 years to actually put together all these program components. But really, and you can speak to this better than I can, it's been about 50 years in the making. Black students in 1968 and 69 at USF created a list of demands. And many of those demands we're just now really fulfilling through our new BASE program at USF. So a long time coming.
Were you there at that 1968 one?
Who you think wrote the list of demands?
Oh, what?
Yeah, dude. What they say? What's that Sam Cooke song? It's a long time coming, but the change is gonna come. Yeah, you're going to play Sam Cooke at the break.
Yeah,
you don't have to, really.
No, I already locked it in.
I want to hear the light, but that's a whole nother story.
All
Okay,
right.
yeah. No, yes, this is a dream come true in the form of this BASE program, and it's something, that we wished for many years ago, and it's here. And we got to give a lot of credit. Let's give him credit, because I think he's listening, to the current president of the University of San Francisco, Father Paul Fitzgerald. Nothing like this, especially when it comes to money and getting full scholarships for young people, without the number one man saying, let's make it happen, and saying, look, I'm committed to this, I'm committed to this, and it's true, it's here. And your role, you are, besides being a professor, what is your relationship to the BASE program?
I am the faculty director for it.
You running everything.
A little bit, but I
Yeah.
got a nice partner in crime here who you already met, Michael Tadesse Bell.
Started in September, right? August, September. How many students? And there's so many components to this, so let's sort of figure out. Let's lay it out for everybody. Remember, they got to see through your words. So just lay how many kids, how many young people the first time around, and yeah.
Right. So the Black Scholars Program, this year we were actually extremely ambitious and brought in 13 scholars. And then there's another, so that's the scholars. And then there's a living learning community. So we have 30 students that started in that program. There's 13 of those students who were scholarship students, another 10 incoming first year students, and then 10 returning students. So the desire was to make sure that we surrounded those incoming students with students who have already been through a first year and could share in their wisdom as they went throughout their first year. So that's a living learning community. And then there's the Black resource center. That has the ability to really do the most. It will touch all of our Black identified students, so both graduate and undergraduate. And we actually will be doing a really big launch for that in just a couple weeks here. But we've already opened our doors this past week to serve students, and it's been really amazing to see the students in the room studying and just fellowshipping with one another.
When you say, you want to do it? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Yeah, no. The living. How you say that? What is it?
Living learning community.
Yeah. What is that? I mean, I'll live on the same floor. What is that?
It's really special. So the students they live together on the same floor, but they also take classes that we've created. So we take the learning part seriously. We wanted to not just bring Black students into USF with higher numbers, we wanted to actually really change the university. So we've created 2 brand new African American Studies courses. They take them from me, for better or for worse. The fall class that we just got through was called Black Activists and Visionaries, and it was a beautiful class that was really about looking at the long duration of U.S. history through the lens of Black activists and visionaries, everybody from Frederick Douglass to Tubman to Du Bois, et cetera.
Garvey.
And then, yes, absolutely. You can say it louder.
Marcus Garvey.
There you go. And Malcolm X and some other Black revolutionaries. Nat Turner is one of my favorites. So that's what they did in the fall. Then we took this Black Heritage immersion trip, what the students are going to share with you a little bit about today. And then this semester, we created another African American Studies course. We're actually taking students out to meet with community partners that are in the Western Addition, in the Fillmore. And students are basically going to be documenting the history of Black activism in our own backyard at USF.
And you know, I'm trying to just sort of paint this for people. University of San Francisco has always, no, I won't say as always. Let me play. This is a real effort to increase the number of African American students at the school, and this is one way to do it. It's always had a number that sort of goes up and goes down, goes up and goes down. When I was there, we actually went out and found Black students because we were so lonely. The BSU, we went out and did that. I got to mention Adrian Riley, who we founded the BSU together at USF. And so we went out and actually found students. And through the years, it's gone up and down, gone up and down. Father Fitzgerald has actually set goals that he wants to achieve. Not only to get Black students into the school, but to keep them there, and retention rate and graduation rate. This program was a very, very bold step to do it, and one of the ways was to say we don't want money to be an obstacle. So I mean, that's a big deal when you bring them in and say, we're gonna get you as much money as you need. Because a lot of students, especially from a private university like USF, leave because they just can't afford it. They get it in a year, they get it in 2 years. The money gets funky and they leave. Mm-hmm. So this is a very ambitious program. But beyond that, I want to say, you can think of it, and we'll ask them what it feels like, because I know what it felt like when I got there. It's almost like an infusion of color, of Blackness onto the campus. And it's a very, very highly touted program, and it's just, and I just got to say it's great. It's really, really great, and we'll hear from them how it is. What's the reception been like? Just from you on campus, just from you two, just we hear about them. But what's it been like since this?
It's been amazing. As an alum myself, actually 2-time alum, and now working on my doctorate, it's been amazing to see, first and foremost, the students, right, feel as though they are part of something that's new. Feel as though they are trailblazers, exactly. Yeah. And so that's extremely important. But it's also been really exciting to see people who don't necessarily look like us also excited, right? Because they understand what's at stake here, right? They understand what we are trying to do as an institution, as a program. So it's been really exciting to see. there's been a lot of folks internally wanting to connect in some way to the program to determine, how they can publicize it more, which has been interesting. But it's been exciting nonetheless.
Lots of people, as Michael said, are really supportive of this. They're excited about it. We feel like it's a long time coming. But people are also, their backs are straightening up because USF is taking responsibility to fix what is a national, right, systemic, historic problem. And when you look at a lot of universities that I've been a part of, right, most of my life, they'll say things like, well, the problem really is in elementary school, right, or high schools. We can't help them once they get into higher education. They're either ready to go or they're not. And USF now is saying through base, that's ridiculous. We have a responsibility to black folks. We have a responsibility because of our mission.
Yep.
We have a mission that's very much about being men of women for others. We're very social justice focused. And finally, right, we're not just preaching that message, but to me, through base, we're trying to actually live it out. We're trying to do things, again, that schools in California have really struggled with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Across the board, you look at higher ed. Those student populations on campuses in California are running like 2 to 4% across the board.
209 just
That's right.
shot everybody down. Right.
That's right. Since the 1990s, right? We've all been struggling. And so, I was one of those people. Michael was one of those people that said, so what? We still think we can do better. We can get to the national averages of 10%, and we're headed there very quickly. But that's not, to me, the most important thing. It's not the most exciting thing. I don't really care just about bringing a bunch of black folks to campus, right, and dropping them off.
Yeah.
What we care about is the potential embedded in young black people. That's what matters to us. So to us, BASE is about empowering black students to live out their fullest human potential. It's about giving them the best kinds of tools and resources we can provide, and then frankly getting out of their way so they can do the transformative leadership work that we know that they're fully capable of. That's been a part of our black history since we left Africa.
We'll start with that. We'll get everybody, okay?
All right, my name is Bella Dixon. I'm 19 and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Man, a Prince!
Oh, yeah,
Purple
Prince.
one.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Victoria Lamar. I'm 18 and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, Lord. Lil John, but I'll leave him alone.
Outcast.
Hi, my name is Maya Cravati. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Boston.
Oh,
Farrakhan.
Farrakhan.
Hi, I'm Zion Perez. I'm 19 and I'm from Cambridge, Mass.
Oh, wow. You guys are from different places. Okay,
Kaepernick.
who's next?
I'm Julian Sarapru. I'm 18. I'm from New Orleans.
Oh, man. Oh,
Currency.
Lord. I love New Orleans. I go there just to eat.
I'm AJ Austin from South San Francisco, California.
Klay Thompson. No, I'm playing.
Go ahead.
All right, my name is Houston Tucker. I'm
Is
18.
that mic on? I don't think that mic's on. Okay, go.
My name is Houston Tucker. I'm 18. I'm from Washington, D.C., Uptown.
Oh, Uptown.
My name is Mike L. Gregory, and I'm from San Francisco, and I'm 19.
Frisco.
Thank you. Thank you. And as a USF alum, thank you for coming. I mean, it's really wonderful to see you. Because I looked for you for years and didn't see a lot of you. But, this is great for you to come. Maybe I'll begin. I don't want to start a deep conversation before we go to break. Can I?
Yeah, we got like a minute and a half.
A minute and a half. What can I do in a minute and a half? Okay. Cambridge. Where's Cambridge? What brought you really all the way across the country? You get the first one to talk about why you picked. You could have gone anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You really go ahead. Get to the mic. You can because I know you're smart. I know you.
Thank you.
You probably had like 30 schools to pick from, right?
I had a few to pick from, but coming to San Francisco, like visiting the school and seeing the campus, it's what really spoke to me. Like I felt like I could vibe out here, and like I just felt like I had to be here. And then as soon as the BASE program was like coming about, like I was a sophomore, about to be, and I was like, I feel like this is my reasoning for coming all the way out here, like is to bring about like the black community here.
Okay.
And I just felt like SF is where it's at.
Oh,
thank you. Oh, all right. Oh Lord. Keep scoring points. All right. New Orleans. What brought you out here?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny story. So, I mean, I really wanted to go to Howard.
I understand. Believe me, brother. Look, I wanted to go to Fisk. I ended up at USF, but I understand.
Yeah, so, HBCUs are sometimes a little late on their financial aid, so they were taking their sweet time talking about their money. That was back when Tyrone stole all the money from them. Like, I remember that.
And Howard don't even answer the phone. Can I just say that? I love y'all, but I know I get, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
so anyway, I heard about, somehow I heard about USF online or something. I applied and I saw my initial financial aid offer and it wasn't all that. And I was like, dang, that's a little steep. So then they sent about the Black Scholars Program in the mail too. So I applied and then I saw that they flew me out for an interview. I met Dr. Harrison and I was selected, and I just saw that it was a great opportunity to be around Black people, which is what I wanted at Howard anyway. And it was obviously very personalized to me. So I knew that they really wanted me and I wasn't just going to be another number. I knew that they really wanted me for being me, and that felt really special. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
What's up? So this is AJ. I'm from out here, so I went to high school locally at Sacred Heart. And
you went to SH?
Yeah, I went to SH.
Yeah.
And it is a very diverse school. However, the education I got there is like anywhere else. It was standard U.S. history. There was hardly any diversity studies or anything like that. It was all standard, and coming into USF, taking Black activists and visionaries really opened the world for me, kind of like how you said whenever you started reading Malcolm X, we got the opportunity to read books like Autobiography of Malcolm X. We got to read Frederick Douglass, We got to read the letter from the Birmingham jail. And just the opportunity really coming here to come in touch with my history is one that, I can never take for granted and that I love so much.
You know Stunner Man?
Thank you.
Stunner Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Let me talk about your friends on there.
That's
I know about playing. Let's get somebody else. What was somebody else? Just grab the mic, talk about your experience. I'm particularly in high school because I'm always interested in that when it comes to Black history.
So I'm Victoria Lamar, and I actually read that book. That was our summer book we had to read before coming into high school. So after reading that, before I even came into history class, I already was like, okay, this is a lie. Like, whatever you're telling me right now is a lie.
Oh, good.
So, okay.
The teacher stopped because
So
get that smart little Black girl out of class.
So that book already had me questioning everything. And then my history teacher was non-Black. And I went to a predominantly Black school. So I just felt like whatever he would tell us wasn't right,
Right.
He was only telling us what he wanted us to hear. So coming here to USF and being a part of Dr. Harrison's class, I am every time, and we had our class at nighttime, so every time I left, I was shook and just so surprised about everything. It was always gloomy outside when we left. Then we always had so much history. I just learned so much. So I really can't tell you what I learned in high school beyond MLK. So.
Somebody else want to talk about your high school experience with Black history?
I'm Bella. So I'm from Minnesota, so my experience was completely different. I grew up in a predominantly white suburb of Minnesota, and the only Black person that was employed in my district was the diversity leader. So I didn't have Black people around me. They say I had a Black people.
What they say?
And now she wearing an African.
But I know diversity is they're out there. We just gotta find them because I always say, they say that's their job. They gotta find
yeah. So I didn't have that. I was when I learned about history, I was usually the token Black girl who everyone would go to if slavery brought up. I became the teacher suddenly of Black history.
Oh, you know what that feels like?
Yeah.
At Loyola High School, I was the only one. So everybody, with all eyes would turn to you. Right, you're the only one in the class, and you got to speak for all Black people.
Yeah.
And they talk about slavery that you really don't. I'm taking your thunder, but I know what that feels like. I really do. Yes. Oh my God.
So coming to San Francisco, even though it was still predominantly white institution, going just in our hallway and seeing all Black people of all different shades, going to have a class with a doctor, professor, amazing woman who is Black is just amazing to get to learn that from her. And just being in that classroom was a really great space. And like Vicky said, some of the classes, specifically the lynching one for me, I remember the reading was really hard. No one talked about it, just, have you read it?
Yeah.
Okay, you read it. Yeah, you know. And then after the class, it was just all right, see you tomorrow. But it was just being able to elicit those emotions was something that was phenomenal, especially when learning about our history.
I remember the first time I read. In fact, I read in the class to the kids the other day at the club, and I don't know if it's coming for any of you, but when I first learned this stuff, I was angry. I mean, I was like, "What you did? What you? What? Oh, what? I'm gonna get all y'all." It just brings up these feelings, and then you get to the point. Well, why didn't I know this? Did anybody else? Was that for you? Why didn't you know this? You go through 12 years of school, and you find out this stuff just now. You didn't know this. Let me take one more. You want to talk about your experience? You can go to this mic right here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Houston. My experience was very, very different. Black history for me really got powerful for me in middle school. I went to a predominantly black school for up until middle school, up until I went to high school. And quite honestly, I didn't even know that many white people. And I never really, honestly, when I was little, I didn't think white people exist. So DC was really a chocolate city for me.
Yep.
And I had a lot of black teachers who made sure I learned black history, and my parents were really big on black history. That did, however, change when I went to high school. I went to high school, a private high school out deep in Maryland. And I remember my junior year of high school, I took AP US history. And my teacher said, it's sad that I can't really teach y'all about the black history, the black part of US history, because it's just not going to be on the exam. And part of me...
Oh, wait a minute.
And so...
I done heard a new one.
So I respected his honesty.
Exam.
Yeah, I respected his honesty about it, because the exam, every day we were studying for the exam. But it was kind of sad because it was like he couldn't even teach it because of the exam, like he was restricted from teaching black history. Like, it wasn't even important to learn about it. So that was the biggest thing for me. But luckily enough, my parents instilled it to me how important it was to learn about black history. So I always knew about it.
Wow.
I feel we integrated into European schools. Like, the more I think about it, I'm like, of course they ain't gonna teach black history. We in they stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And you know what's interesting about integration? People talk about integration a lot. I thought about it when they integrated the schools. I'm talking back in Brown versus Board of Education. There was an assumption that there was nothing of value over there, right? So they integrated the students. But they didn't integrate the faculty. They didn't bring the history. They didn't bring lift every voice and sing. So it wasn't true, quote, integration. Integration means you bring, there's a meeting of, right? So, yeah, all that stuff they would have learned at a school like that.
So overall, the trip was amazing. It was 13 hours of long, intense, information coming to us, and, we would discuss it. And, every night, Professor Harrison and Michael Bell and Nolizwe and Dr. Bouchard would be like, guys, prepare for tomorrow. It's going to be a heavy day. And it was every single day was heavy, but it was just so amazing learning about our culture, stuff you never hear about. One of our last places we went to, which was kind of the most impactful for me, was Mountain Bayou. It's this place in Mississippi. You guys have to go, hopefully before it closes off, because it used to be a city and now it's getting down to a town, but it is so amazing. The city was founded by former enslaved black people. And it was shortly after the emancipation, and they were the ones, that place was where most black people were getting educated. And they had places from 3 different cities surrounding it, and it was a place that only they were getting the education. They were producing so many people, and it was also amazing because it's former slaves. During slavery, you weren't even allowed to read or write or know anything. So the fact that they were having their own education, it was just amazing. And we met the mayor, and she is fighting so hard because it was her grandparents. Or her great-grandparents?
Probably great-grand.
Yeah, it was her
Not quite that old, but yeah.
Yeah, it was her great-grandparents that were helping found it, and she is fighting tooth and nail for it. And unfortunately, the high school went down, so now they're only to elementary school. But just being around a place that, we weren't allowed to have that space. Right. And then shortly after emancipation, which it was a tough time. People didn't know what to do, where to go to, or how to live. And the fact that there was something there so rich in history, it was just so amazing. And the city hall, it's being a little shut down right now, but it has amazing like artifacts, and like going up to it, there's like this little plaque, and you can just see like the history from like how they were enslaved during times and all the way to their liberation. And I thought it was like the perfect way to end the trip because we started basically at the Whitney Plantation. Oh, sorry, my fault. Okay, next.
No, that's great. I want to hear about my bayou. No, really,
Okay.
that's wonderful. I hadn't heard of that. I'm writing this down.
Yeah, Africa Town too. Put that down on your list. Mobile, Alabama.
Well, I'm going to get Michael.
So
I know
the
this
trip
guy.
was absolutely amazing for me. I think it was really a part 2 to the program that I participated in during my sophomore year of high school, Operation Genesis, which had took me back to Africa, and I got to see like the point of no return, that last gate before slaves were to like enter into the U.S. and then being able to go down south and like look at some of the places where like these slaves actually like came and basically died, was really impactful. I think the best place for me, or like the most impactful place for me, was the slave haven. And it was honestly, it was everything really. You can't tell me black people weren't smart after me going through that tour. It was like they had quilts and like all these different type of intricacies that really showed them how to get to the promised land, that free land. And that's something that a lot of people, I feel like if today the people of today were to go and try to like do that same route that they were doing, like you would not be able to do it. That's how intricate it was. It took a lot of skill, a lot of practice, like understanding where the moss grows on a tree and how it grows north and how you're to go that way. Looking at some of the quilts and understanding that like if a certain type of quilt is up, you can't go. Like you must stay the night. Like just make sure you're like hiding out. Like
So
different
those were
things
the
like
markers?
that.
They use those for the markers for the route?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I could do it with my phone.
Exactly. With our phones we can, but if we didn't have our phones, it would be so much different. But it was really cool to see how much just really how much time and effort that they put into making sure that they knew what they were doing. And the people that supported it, like a white man built out, not only did he build a house, but he built like an underground part for slaves to come in and like live in until like they were able to like keep moving on. And that was like so dope, like because you necessarily don't see that. And I feel like even growing up in San Francisco, like although I grew up in a predominantly African American community, these type of things weren't necessarily shown. Like we see like the MLK thing, but there was so much more. And I feel like this is what this trip like really exposed to the things that we necessarily don't know about African American history, or just about being like African American descendants or African descendants.
Somebody else. Big good. Who hasn't been to the mic? Come on. Yes, honey.
All right.
Go ahead.
My name is Maya.
Yep. Go ahead.
One of the most profound places to me was the lynching museum. The lynching museum in Montgomery. It's something that, it's basically never talked about at all, especially in high school. So I just learned in this class this past semester about the extent to which lynching, happened and just all of that. So to see a museum about how lynching is connected to mass incarceration today, that was very profound. And then the memorial also was, they were hanging like pieces of metal, and there are parts where you could like actually look up at what would represent a hanging body, and that was so touching. It was a lot of emotions and nothing like I've ever experienced.
Billie Holiday song, Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
Tough. All right. Wonderful. We got to go to break?
Yeah.
Got to go to break. We'll come back. We want to get the rest of you. Be thinking about the tour and just like we've heard some more places that really impacted you. Welcome back, everyone. We are visiting with the Black Achievement Success and Engagement Program, better known as BASE, from the University of San Francisco. Brand new program at the school. And they recently took a Black Immersion Tour, is that it? Black Immersion Tour, where they visited New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Memphis, Tennessee, and Mount Bayou, Mississippi. Y'all went down into the deep. Mississippi, just hearing Mississippi just freaks me out. And my people from Vicksburg are like, ooh, Lord, Mississippi. So we've been asking each one of them about the tour, the impact of the tour on them, in particular, any particular place or exhibit that they saw. So who's next? We got to get everybody in. So your turn. Thank you. Go right ahead.
I'm Julian again. So I'm actually from New Orleans, so I had a unique perspective for this. I think I was the only one who was actually in their hometown while we were gone on any part of the trip. And actually part of the trip, my grandfather is he has we have a family house out in the country. It's right outside of New Orleans. It's in Lucy, Louisiana. And so we all visited there, and he gave us a tour of like the house that he grew up in and told us what it was like to be, a black person living in rural Louisiana, growing up in the 60s, 30s. And that part of the trip was very powerful for me because my dad also came, and to have 3 generations of college-educated black men was something that was very special for me, all in one place.
Good right there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Especially given the context that he gave us, where they were dirt poor and they were. He was cutting sugarcane, just like the slaves on the farm at Whitney Plantation that we went to. Right after that, he was doing that same work, and for them to come all the way, and now we're all prospering, and I think it's so powerful. And then another thing that really hit me hard was, like Maya said, we went to Equal Justice Initiative's museum, Legacy Museum, and it showed a very clear connection between slavery, lynching, and mass incarceration. And every night we would have these talks about what we saw that day. And look, I ain't no tough guy, but I gotta admit that I cried that night. That was the first time I cried in a while.
I cry all the time, bro. Don't feel like that. I ain't got no problem crying. I cry when somebody win an Olympic medal. I mean, oh my God, that's the most wonderful thing in the world.
You see the biggest NFL players cry, man. You see the biggest athletes cry.
No, you are. That's emotion. Don't even trip. Go for it.
Yeah, and it really inspired me. Just reinstilled why we're all here and why we're so committed to changing our situation. And actually, I want to do a shameless plug for myself. I actually wrote about the trip in our student newspaper, the San Francisco Foghorn. So you can go to sffoghorn.com and check out my article. It's called "The Significance of Sacred Spaces." Thank you to Dr. Harrison for giving me that wording. And you guys check it out. I'm really proud of it.
We're going to blow it up. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Who's next? Who hasn't had a chance to talk about the... Is everybody said? Just spot there. Your turn?
He's going
Who? Okay, go.
The biggest thing for me about the trip was the stuff that's happening now. The history was a big part. It was really emotional. But stuff that's happening now, like gentrification, mass incarceration, and like also the positive things. We went to different restaurants to eat soul food and learn about like the prospering restaurants in New Orleans that were housing politicians and stuff like that. And also different artists. B Mike. He was a really cool artist that we learned about that's doing a lot of big things in New Orleans. And his artwork and his graffiti is just amazing, especially after Katrina. What he did was beautiful. It was just beautiful to like see black people prospering now. But also it was hard to hear about, the gentrification that's going on. It hit me hard because that's what's happening in D.C. One of the fastest growing gentrification in America is D.C. So that really hit close to home for me. And I was just like Julian, just crying my eyes out. It was crazy. But yeah, just what's happening now it was touching to me, learning about mass incarceration and how like it made me think of like, oh, what ways can we change this? And like just people that I've known growing up who are going to jail now, it's kind of crazy how it's something that's real. It's not something you just read about or hear about. It's like you starting to experience it. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to experience it more. So yeah, it was hard.
Wow. I want to, Lady Estelle or Miss Demetra, do you have anything you want to ask them about the program? I can't hear you. You got to come in here and say something because, just was it anybody's first time in the country? Anybody here for the first time when you were in the country? What was that like going? Because the country is different. I'm a city guy.
Yeah, the country. Different.
I mean, I was in the country, but I was so little. I don't remember what the country's like. But what was it like for the first time in the country where everything is slow and Go ahead. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was the first time in the country for me. I'm from Boston, so I mean, a lot of people like to say Boston's really racist, but I don't know. It's not my experience.
That's not your experience. Right?
Yeah, I was definitely scared, nervous. It was slow. I mean, but I liked it. I liked New Orleans. I liked, I have family members that are from the South, from North Carolina. So it was good to see what they would have experienced back then when they were like my age. So it was good to see that. But yeah, definitely a little nerve-wracking being there the first time. Yeah.
Down there in Louisiana, around there, New Orleans.
Did anybody get the urge to trace their roots I'm just curious.
My first slave plantation was Baltimore or in Maryland. That's one for my last name.
Oh, okay.
My first slave
Your first
plantation.
one.
I don't know.
Did
if that's
anybody
how I'm supposed to say
get the urge to do that?
Well, before I came on the trip, 2 days before I just landed and gotten back from Ghana with my family, so I got to see some of the same things from seeing a lot of the slave ports and things like that, and really enrich myself in that part of my history because my dad came to the United States when he was 19. So to go on that and then go on the immersion trip, I just felt like breathtaking. And especially when we went to what Julian and Maya talked about, the Equal Justice Initiative.
Yeah.
Seeing slavery from mass incarceration and going where slavery started and then being where I'm present in mass incarceration just was really crazy. And the part that got me there was they had these holograms of people in slave pens and cages, and they had this one woman who was crying out looking for her kids, asking if anyone's seen her kids. She'd hear them crying every night. And then a couple ones down, they had 2 kids looking for their mom who were no older than 4 years old. And it just like broke my heart. It got me. And then I walk in and I see all these memorials and the last resting places of people who have been lynched, and to see that these men, women, and children were finally valued in this space, and see that we had the opportunity to value them in so many more Black sacred spaces when they weren't being valued, when they were being gentrified, when they were being run down, was really just breathtaking to see it all come full circle and have us be able to continue that hopefully upward trend of Black history.
I love that term, sacred spaces. I really do, because the whole war on drugs, the whole war on Black people, during that time, working with young people, it almost seemed like there wasn't anything sacred anymore. So just the use of that word hit me when you said that, because mom wasn't sacred anymore, God wasn't sacred anymore, everybody, it's just unbelievable. So to hear that, I love that terminology, Dr. Harrison. Thank you, sacred, because when you lose that, that's just, I just got to say thank you very much.
Not only mom, dad, your lives weren't sacred, and they were never sacred. They were, but once over here, that sacredness was stripped away. And so I'd love to have the article, because I teach the college prep class, and I'd love to use that in the class. So I grew up during the times when the sign said for colored only, and I knew that there were places I couldn't go. We couldn't go as kids. So I'm like a part of that history, and you never know that you're going to be history until your hair turns green. You are history. So, but I am just so delighted to hear your stories, your experiences, and I hope, and I love the tears from both the young men and young women, because you are still able to feel. See, we live in a society where it's not cool to cry. But that also means if you can't feel the hard stuff, then you're not really going to be able to feel what's really good. And so that value of things we tend to lose when we say, no, I'm not going to go there. But wonderful for Dr. Harrison to take you on that journey to see yourself. Let me tell you what you owe us. All that you saw, you are responsible for bringing us up. Those people who cried out for their children, the ones who said, I'm not going to take this boat. I'm going to stop. I'm swimming back. No, we can't make it. You owe us, those of us who couldn't go to the park, couldn't go to the bathroom, you owe us your self-respect, your pride, that work, that education, that commitment, carrying that light so that other young people can see who we really are. So I just challenge you, not just to take the class, not just to do that work, but to live that life of high regard for who you are, where you came from, despite all the obstacles that were put there just because, to transcend that and override that. So I am just delighted to be here and to see you. Hey, do the work.
Amen.
Do the work. You came here with more than enough to make it and to bring everybody with you. So keep doing that. Thank you.
That's Lady Estelle. That's Lady Estelle. See, when she talk, nobody talks.
Yeah.
She's like E.F. Hutton back in the day with American Hood. She
Yeah.
talk, everybody listens.
And then she leave.
Anything else you want to add, really, about the tour, about the trip? Anybody didn't get a chance to put something else in, please do so. But I got to say, this guy.
Oh, man.
This guy grew up at Alive and Free.
Frisco.
Omega Boys Club. He grew up with it. I mean, I just got to say, every time I see him, I try not to go crazy because I've seen him from the 9th grade till now. I was so proud when he got accepted into this program. And I knew they were getting a good one. And if he gets on your nerves, that's okay. He's really no, I'm kidding. Michael, go ahead. Man.
The country. The country is no joke. I grew up in Bayview, and it is so different. I do not like bugs. I don't like
and big bugs.
Not seeing like in a lot of space, like a lot of buildings. That was just rough out there. But one thing I really enjoyed just from the Legacy Museum was the fact that slaves who necessarily didn't have a name or people necessarily didn't acknowledge their name, they finally found their final resting place. A lot of people from the Legacy Museum actually went and grabbed the soil from where slaves were basically killed, and they put them in jars, and now they're like all throughout the Legacy Museum, ultimately giving them their final resting place. And I think that was really impactful to like see that they're actually not only trying to remember the people whose narrative that they have names to, but even the people who they don't have names to, and give them that final resting place.
Wow. I'm not there, and this is wonderful. I feel like I'm reading Before the Mayflower right in front of me. I feel like that.
I got some questions. We always hear about Nat Turner. But did y'all learn about other rebellions or revolutions on this trip of like significant people?
No.
Okay.
Not on this trip. Remember,
that's how I'm interested in the rebels.
Denmark, VC, Gabriel Prost. You want to ask something, Bree?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So, just after you guys gained all that experience, what does Black history mean to you guys now? I'll let you think about that.
Yes, go to the mic. Can't have dead air. Somebody say something.
Hi, this is Houston again. For me, the experience, hopefully this answers your question, it kind of connected Black history. I know from our class and stuff, it was hard for me to connect Black history to now. Like, I felt like there was a void in between it all. And with the trip and the experience, it kind of bridged the gap. It definitely connected it to now, and I can see how everything correlates and how much history is so important. Like, without knowing our history, we can't really bring Black people up now. So it's a crucial thing. I mean, I would hope that people would, if you're able to, go and see these places for yourself. Because, I mean, it is going to be tough. It is going to be hard. You may have tears. But it's something that you need to learn. And a textbook, a video, a picture is not really going to do it. It's standing there alone was just so meaningful, and it held so much value.
Traditionally, we thought of time as Africans in a circular way, right? And we've been conditioned to think of it as linear. So that's why history is so important, because it connects us to the circle. And, there is no distinction, according to quantum physicists, of time. Right. It's all connected as one, So I agree with what you're saying.
In another way, it's a story, right?
Yeah.
It's a story. No, it is. It's a story, right? History is, if I ask you about your life, I want to know the history of your life. There are stories. You're just learning more of the pieces in the entire arc of the story. And more importantly, how they're all connected. They're all connected. They're all connected. Anybody else want to talk about how it? Yeah, answer that.
Yeah. For me, Black history is alive now after going on that trip.
Nice word.
Like Houston was saying, it filled in voids for me too. I mean, we're all taught about slavery and civil rights, but it all seems so long ago and like nothing really connected. So definitely filling in the blank spaces that we're not taught about was one thing. But another thing, just being alive, like he said, staying in those places where our ancestors stood and they were doing these great, amazing things that we could only dream of today, radical things, is very inspiring. And it just, feeling maybe some of the feelings they were feeling, or, learning the lessons from what they did and trying to apply that to now, and how we can make the world ultimately better for us by learning from what they did right and what they did wrong, or what has worked in the past and what hasn't, because we're facing so many of the same types of issues. It just made it a lot more real, Even we went to Lorraine Motel in Memphis, and being where Dr. King was assassinated, and just seeing how easily, such an amazing, strong man can be taken with one bullet was something that was so humbling. And it just made me see that he's human. We all heard "I Have a Dream" speech, and it's something that rings throughout your ears. Every time you think about Black history, you're going to think about that. But, I was just given by a regular guy who just had a mission, and he was very determined and very selfless. And that's even seen by the whole reason he was in Memphis for the sanitation worker strike. He was being selfless. He had a feeling that that might be the end of his life. He was talking about it on the mountaintop speech. Right. But he went there anyway, and he did his job, and he sacrificed for the greater good. So if that doesn't get you riled up and it doesn't inspire you, then you really have no feelings, I guess.
I like that. Yeah. Anybody else? Impact.
To answer your question, Black history means what it means to me. It means everything. America would not be America without Black people. Black history is American history, and what they have in the textbooks right now is nothing. They have no idea what the true America is, and I just want everyone to know that. And also, what we talked about in this past semester with Dr. Harrison was history is messy. It is so messy. I learned a word, contingency, and it's all over the place. But Black history and Black people, there are so many unknown names that we know, don't even know, that are just so impactful to us. And when we were in New Orleans, we met Leah Chase. We went to her restaurant, and she told us to put up. She's put up a fight, do everything you can, because we are making our current history right now.
You know what, Doc, I want to say this. There's so much, the names, there's the names. And then, there's the names that's in your own family. And if you get a chance, talk to your mother, your father, your great. And if you got greats around, do it. And just the stuff they did day to day. This stuff they did at the job. I was talking to my dad one day, and he was talking about how he changed the whole culture of the job just because they had a thing where, Black people can't drink from this cup, right? And you're like, hell no, I ain't taking that. And it was a time we could have lost his job. It's all those little pieces that don't make, but remember, folks, this was all, you weren't supposed to be here. You were set up to fail. Do you realize how great you are? This was the plan was for you. Slavery, you were supposed to not get here, right? You are the product of those who said, what did PE say one time? Refuse to lose. You refuse to lose. This is just what do you want? Each one of you. I know freshman year you may change your mind, but what's your goal, aspiration? Everybody just come to the mic and say what they want to be. By junior year, change your major. But right now, what is it that you want to do? Just come and say your name and what do you want? What do you want to do with your life?
My name is Maya. That's a tough question.
You don't have to have the answer. I changed 3 times.
Right now, I recently changed my major to media studies.
Okay.
So I want to make documentaries that teach people everything that we learned on the trip. I just want to spread the knowledge about Black history, Black figures.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay, Ava DuVernay coming back. All right, next. Go ahead.
What's up, AJ? Back on the mic. Back at it again.
I'm with it.
I'm a physics major at USF, so huge love for science and math. Always been doing all kinds of math classes. So a huge goal of mine is to get more Black folks in STEM, particularly physics, because I am a physicist, mathematics, engineering, computers, all that stuff. I want to fill the void and bring more Black people into it, diversify the workforce. Additionally, I'm also into investing, so I want to gather groups together.
You want to get the 40 acres and a mule that we should have had first time around.
Yeah, I want to establish some Black investment clubs, hedge funds, and just teach people how to manage their money so that we could grow as people and get it going.
Do it. Next. Come on, say what you want to do.
All right, I'm Bella. I want to be a psychologist. I'm mainly interested in industrial psychology or working with children and mental health, and especially kids in the foster care and adoption system.
Next.
Julian again. I'm also a media studies major like Maya, but I'm more interested in the journalism aspect, which is why I'm writing for the Foghorn and trying to get my feet wet in that area. I'm really into sports, so I like to see where the intersection between, how demographics such as like race or sexuality, whatever, intersect with sports. Tell us stories that aren't necessarily told, especially for Black people. And even beyond that, I've been looking into different categories, and I just want to uplift the voices that aren't necessarily heard often. So many times we get caught in these media narratives that portray people in a certain way, especially Black people. We know that portrayed as a thug or portrayed as, lazy. We don't want to do our work, whatever. I want to go and see these stories that aren't being told and uplift those voices and, really try to tell the truth about how things are. And that's my goal through using journalism to do that.
Wonderful. Who have you been? Come on, we'll get everybody in there.
Zion again, and I am a psych major and a gerontology minor. So I want to become a Black psychiatrist because, like you guys said, like crying is real, feelings are real, and Black people, we experience a lot of generational burdens, and we need to acknowledge that. We need to talk about that, and I want to do that in the Black and Afro-Latina community. And for my gerontology, old people are our wisdom. That's who we learn from. They're the ones who put in the work for us too. They crawled so we can walk. So I want to preserve them as well in their memories and keep it going.
Next.
Hello, I'm Victoria Lamar. I am studying psychology and neuroscience, and I'm interested in mental health, specifically mental health in the African American community. Additionally, I'm interested in entrepreneurship. Plug again. So I have my own business, Securing Degrees Debt Free LLC, where I help students go to college debt free. So, securingdegrees.org, anybody out there listening? So basically, I graduated with about $2 million in scholarships, and I try to help other people get the same stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who hasn't? Yep.
This is Houston again. The biggest thing for me, I'm an international business major, and I said before how gentrification hit me. So after I get out of college, I definitely want to get into real estate. That's the biggest thing for me. I want to combat gentrification, and also a recent thing for me is also mass incarceration. I've been learning a lot about it and how basically mass incarceration is almost as profitable, if not more profitable, than slavery was. So just combating that and how I can uplift the Black community so we don't get stuck in this system, in this loop, and stop losing our homes and stop losing our freedom at the same time.
My name is Michael, and I would like to become a pediatrician. But aside from becoming a pediatrician, I also want to run my own boys group one day and redefine the way we look at masculinity and break some of those barriers of toxic masculinity within the Black community.
Wow. Doc, come on back. You and Mike come back to the mic. And
by the way, Dave Chappelle won Best Comedy. As a comedian, I had to say that. Dave Chappelle won. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Black
I knew
history.
you had to say that. These are yours. What this is just, what do you got to say?
I tried to tell you. I'm proud of them. Yeah.
Yes, extremely proud. And I think when I thought about this trip, when Dr. Harrison put the seed in the soil for me personally, and it all happened really fast, way fast. It was a matter of helping the students realize how close they are to that history, right? We get caught in the fast-paced movement of technology, right? And seeing what these things can do for us now, but we don't take a moment to step back and see how it all connects. And so I think as they walk throughout these sacred spaces, and as you've heard this evening, they saw themselves, right? And they saw how it pertains specifically to today. And so I was extremely proud that actually came forth in that experience.